Hello everyone, Loremaster of Sotek here, and surprise, it's patch note day. The patch notes are here. That's right, they're here, along with presumably lots of other goodies. So we're gonna go ahead and just start working our way through the patch notes and talk about everything that is coming in 3.1. There's a lot of really cool stuff, and we will just go over all of it. It's a big patch, so get yourself something to drink, get some water, some tea, whatever floats your boat, and buckle in. This is an exciting morning, so let's hop into it. So what all is contained within patch 3.1? So we have a new legendary hero, who is going to be, of course, revealed at the Skulls event, which at the time you're watching this video is going to be taking place in a couple of hours. Make sure to come join me over on www.twitch.tv/Loremaster of Sotek to chill with us as we excitedly hang out and await the reveal of who this character is going to be, along with a bunch of other cool games. We also have Bretonnia getting a lot of changes and rebalances. Very cool. The Great Drill of Hashut will strike in a new Chaos Dwarf in-game crisis for Immortal Empires called the Will of Hashut. Very nice. We have lower tier infantry regiments of renown. Very nice. So lots of really cool updates for the game. So, release spotlight. Hero in 3.1. Who is it? We don't know yet. We will find out at the event. Like I said, a few hours after this video goes live. The character is going to be celebrating 40 years of Warhammer. So should be a pretty interesting... it's probably going to be some kind of legacy character, but there are quite a few of those. So it'll be very interesting to see who they pick. All right, so we have the Will of Hashut, a new endgame crisis. Hashut, the Dark Father, deity of the Chaos Dwarf, stirs. He whispers designs of malice and tyranny to the Dawizar, whose cruelty and greed are stoked by their infernal master. The Chaos Dwarfs seek to expand their empire, exploiting and exterminating all who stand before them. A network of invasion tunnels has been bored from the Darklands to the far reaches of the Warhammer world, and the legions of the Dawizar march with impunity. Factions who would dare to stand against the Will of Hashut must infiltrate these tunnels to take the war to the very center of the Chaos Dwarf civilization. For the only way to halt the crisis is to conquer Zarnagrund itself. That is excellent. That's very cool. So they are kind of like the Skaven. They have a unique aesthetic to their in-game crisis. It's not simply that they go Super Saiyan, but they go Super Saiyan with various abilities they would never have otherwise. So with this, it's that the entirety of the invasion is coming out from Zarnagrund, which is very badass. I'm very excited to play with this. I'm almost assuredly going to be hopping into a campaign after the reveal stream today. On stream, I should say. So I'm really looking forward to this. The idea that you have to fight your way through their invasion force, go through their own tunnels back to Zarnagrund and take the fight to their capital, that is an excellent endgame. I think that's going to make for a fun crisis. All right, Regiments of Renown 4. First, we have the Bandits of the Silver Road. So these are our Grand Cathay ROR. Peasant Archers. These brigands have a fearsome reputation at home and in the west. They have been hired by the dragon rulers of their homeland despite their indiscriminate pillaging. Dev note: armed with a buckler shield, flaming and flammable missile attacks, and vanguard deployment, these bandits are perfect for supporting the fire rain rocket batteries with a handy weakness to fire debuff. And here we can see that they do have bronze shields, notably better stats than most peasant archers. They also do have fire arrows and flammable missiles. And then they have Vanguard Woodsmen, expendable yin, and they're good at hiding in forests. So yeah, this actually will make for a really solid unit. It just gives you a better peasant archer unit than you would have normally, but they do actually have some really nice wombo combos with your other units, because Cathay has quite a few units that do explosion fire damage, like they say, the fire rain rocket batteries. So they should have some really fun synergies there. We have the Hounds of the Blood Hunt, which that's actually a End Times reference. The Blood Hunt was the host led by Kabanda, fun fact. So it says, Khorne's loathing to see his chosen servants felled by the cowardly practice of the arcane is made manifest in flesh hounds, mostly immune to hostile magic. These corn dogs have the dampen contact effect, which allows them to temporarily remove magical attacks. Use them in a flanking context to support your demonic troops. So we can see here that along with an improved stat line, they do indeed have dampen on their melee attacks. So dampen is insane on demons because dampen makes it where you functionally strip away the enemy's ability to get rid of physical resistance. So your demons become significantly tougher if they have dampen helping them out, because it means that there's no way for the enemy to get through their physical resistance except for spells, which of course Khorne is better geared for that than the others because he has spell resistance. Then we see that they have Vanguard deployment. They are immune to contact effects, which is very strong. So that means they're immune to poison, they're immune to magic attacks, they're immune to like fire and all those other various effects. So they're immune to all contact effects. They have physical resistance, spell resistance, cause fear, demons, and oh gosh, I want to say that's Gorfy. I forget which ability that is, but I know that's one of the regular Khorne abilities. I can't remember if regular Khorne Fleshhounds have that. All right, for Kislev, we have the Watchmen in the Night. The Watchmen in the Night. Oh, cool. They're the secret police. The existence of the Tsarina's secret police is no secret, for the Watchmen's ranks are not just the spies who root out the opposition to her rule, but also the toughest of her retinue. They actually look really badass. I like the twin ice sabers. The Watchmen drop the pistols that armored Kossars usually use in favor of a second-hand weapon. This makes them really solid anti-infantry combatants. The ability Rabble Rouse also helps to keep nearby troops immune to fear and terror. Damn. All right. So we see that they are armored Kossars with twin sabers. So they've got pretty solid stat line. They have frostbite attacks, anti-infantry, charge defense against large, immune to psychology, frenzy, and then rabble rouse, which gives them and nearby allied units immune to fear and terror, which is fantastic on Kislev. That's super duper good. It means, you know, that's further that you can go without needing to activate your By Our Blood passive. The Frolickers Bubonic. The Frolickers Bubonic. The acrid discharge of these Nurglings' blisters inflicts wounds upon all who strike them that may not outright kill, but painfully fester. Dev note, these Nurglings have dropped the Cloud of Flies ability in favor of a new ability called Blisterback, which allows the unit to deal damage back at their opponent every time they are hit. In melee, the lack of Cloud of Flies helps the unit get hit more often, which in turn triggers the damage reflection more often. So we can see here that we've kind of got our classic Nurgling swarm with all the usuals. The only exception is the Blisterback. So whenever they are hit by someone in melee, they buff their own leadership to keep them fighting, and they also explode on you for melee damage reflection. So a perfect unit to throw into your enemies and allow your enemies to just wail on them because they're playing right into your hands. The Princes of Perfection, devoted marauders of Slaanesh with spears. In the quest for perfection, one must revel in their obsessions and sacrifice everything for the Dark Prince. Dev note, these are the staunchest spears that Slaanesh has access to. With perfect vigor and soporific musk, they are a perfect addition to any Slaanesh anvil line. That is a very nasty combo. So they have silver shields, pretty high leadership, solid stat line, especially considering they're marauders, anti-large, charge defense against large, perfect vigor. Oh no, sorry, that's charge reflection. They also have charge defense against large, perfect vigor, physical resistance, strider, the mark of Slaanesh. They also have anti-large and soporific musk, which lowers the melee attack and melee defense of any units hit by that unit. So gonna be a really, really nice, solid, cheap unit. Very, very helpful, especially in mono Slaanesh. I don't think it's quite as necessary in the Warriors of Chaos, though I think they're still going to perfectly have a role within the roster. But for mono Slaanesh, oh man, those are going to be very nice. The Chromatic Abominations, some wild-looking blue horrors. For these blue horrors, defense is the best offense, emitting chromatic barriers to render incoming attacks futile as they inflict their own. These blue horrors have a bit more ammo than a standard unit, as well as having a powerful barrier replenishment ability that triggers anytime a spell is cast on the battlefield by friendly or enemy spellcasters. Keep an eye on their barrier points and time your spells appropriately to get a nice boost. So we see here they have a special ranged weapon, Pretty good amount of ammo, decent stats. Oh, interesting. They have bronze shields for some reason. Then they also have that ability. So whenever someone casts a spell, they immediately start regenerating their barrier hit points. So if you're careful with your magic and you're good at kind of taking advantage of not casting when your enemy is casting, you can actually milk a ton of essentially bonus HP out of this unit, which is fantastic. Boglars! Oh my god, we got Boglars! Boglars of the Mad Marshes, Noblar Regiment of Renown. These so-called Toad Noblars were once a much-debated myth amongst scholars, said to have the ability to multiply at the merest contact with water. Ha ha! Boglars come with poisonous standard, but also have the uncanny ability to regenerate entities when standing in water. Keep this unit firmly planted in the water for maximum combat effectiveness. Also, never feed a Boglar after midnight. Oh my good god. I can't believe we got Boglars. We got freaking swamp goblins up in here. From the Marshes of Madness, no less. So, they've got poison melee attacks. Oh, they have throwing daggers, too. So, we've got poison throwing daggers, poison melee attacks. They also have anti-infantry bonus. And then they have this unique ability, which allows them to regenerate and return dead entities so long as they're standing in water, which is nuts. Vanguard deployment, stock, expendable, and they have the aquatic rule. That's super cool. I really, really love that Regiment of Renown. Like, I love that the super rare, often debated if they even exist, Boglars have finally made an appearance. That's very, very cool. I like that a lot. Bretonnia update. So what's going on with Bretonnia 3.1? In campaign, damsels now have troughs available. Thank God. I always thought it was very silly that they didn't. It always felt like a weird restriction for no reason. The final Valor Trough in the series grants permanent access to the Blessing of the Lady for any character who obtains it. Oh, that's super duper nice. That's actually really cool. We had to look at providing notifications, but due to the way it was built, it's unachievable as of now. Never say never, though. Yeah, I know there's another thing in here that they're not gonna have had time to get into. I'm sending the devs a message about it. I'm not expecting it anytime soon because I believe this patch is actually releasing today, I think, after the Skulls event, or something like that. I'm not exactly sure when this goes live, but I believe this patch is coming out today. And so obviously there's not enough time, but I'm hoping in a future patch, a change I really want to see is to the Green Knight. I really want them to make it where the Green Knight is an army ability summon, not just you get them on the campaign map and blah, but you know what? I'll make a separate video about that. The Blessing of the Lady stat has changed as follows. Blessing of the Lady now gives a 15% ward save instead of 25% physical resist. Thank you. Thank you. That is so much better. Now do the same thing with Guardian. Now do the exact same thing with Guardian. Get rid of the physical resistance and replace it with a smaller ward save. Please. There is so much magic attacks in this game. And like we used physical resistance for everything back in Warhammer 2, but it doesn't work against so many armies. Yeah, this is super duper nice. That's an excellent change. Let's see. Blessing of the Lady can now be equipped on units in custom battles. Oh, that's so badass. Certain units, mostly knight units and non-Grail Knight characters, can take the Blessing of the Lady for 200 gold. Very, very cool. So I assume that counts for multiplayer as well. So you can upgrade your characters and units now. That's awesome. Also considering that it's a flat 15% ward save for 200 gold, that actually does not seem like a bad trade-off. This does not affect Grail Knight characters or the Fey Enchantress who always have it equipped. Fair. Interplay between knights and peasants has now been changed to have 2 new attributes. Okay, interesting. So they're doing the Chaos Dwarf thing. So the Chaos Dwarf has the whole contempt and oh god, I forget what the Chaos Dwarf version is called. The Goblin version is called. But you have contempt and then the slave version. And they have like a special interaction. They're doing the same thing for Bretonnia. I really, really hope they do the same thing with the Lizardmen as well. I'd really like to see the Crocsgores and Skinks get unique attributes that interact. All knights and knight characters have received the new knight attribute and do not take any leadership penalties if any unit with the peasant attribute routes nearby. All peasants have the peasant attribute. Knights errant have a new passive called Impetuous. Hooray! Oh, that's cool, because they actually had an Impetuous rule in tabletop, which was not always a good thing because it could cause them to charge when you didn't want them to. When Knights errant are charging, any friendly unit within 35 meters, including the knights themselves, becomes immune to psychology for 30 seconds. That is a very powerful ability, especially if you're actually pulling off cycle charges. If you're being smart and landing your cycle charges, that means your knights basically will have eternal immune to psychology if you do a proper job cycling out, which is very powerful. That's super cool. I like that a lot. That actually gives Bretonnia like a genuine way to face off against fear and terror reliably if you're good at playing with knights. Peasants no longer have the expendable attribute. Peasants do have a new passive as well called the Peasant's Duty. Peasants, men-at-arms, battle pilgrims, squires, bowmen, yeomen, and trebuchets now have +8 leadership if a friendly knight unit is within 55 meters. Peasant infantry overall have had their leadership reduced to account for this change. Awesome. That makes 100% sense. Makes the peasants a lot more like tabletop/lore friendly, and also means that like all peasant armies or armies that are just spamming peasants are not quite as reliable without knights to back them up, which I think is a really, really solid change. Unit changes. You can find many listed below, but here are a few select highlights. Oh, interesting. Grail Knights and Grail Guardians have been rebalanced at lower counts. 48 models per unit for Grail Knights and 32 models per unit for Grail Guardians instead of 60. We made this change to emphasize the heroism of the legendary Grail Knights of Bretonnia, as well as making their overall battlefield readability a bit better. I really like that, because right now it is borderline impossible to tell if you are looking at a Grail Knight unit or like Knights of the Realm, because they look the exact fucking same, especially from a distance. Like, you have to get in close or like really mouse over and make sure you understand what you're looking at. So the fact that the Grail Knights and Grail Guardians have unique sizes is going to make them easy to pick out at a glance. Hopefully now they are as powerful as they should be. I mean, these are supposed to be like borderline hero level fighters. Both Grail Knights and Grail Guardians now deal majority armor piercing damage. Very, very cool. Hippogriff Knights had a big buff. Hippogriff Knights now benefit from the full Grail package, TM. This compromises magical attacks, perfect vigor, and the blessing of the lady baked into their cost by default. Awesome. I love that. I love that so much. So Hippogriff Knight, because I mean, Hippogriff Knights were always supposed to be Grail Knights. Like, there's no way you would have a regular unit of knights riding around who were not on hippogriffs and them not be Grail Knights. Like, these should be a super macho elite monstrous cavalry unit. So that's very exciting. The unit has also had their collisions optimized a bit. Oh, and they have 4 additional entities. Awesome. So now there's going to be 12 of them instead of 8. I love it. I love it. I love it. The Grail Relique has been relieved of its leadership buffing role a bit. Now that knights can prop up the leadership of peasants, it means the Grail Relique doesn't have to carry the peasants as hard as it used to. To reflect this, the Icon of Devotion ability now buffs melee attack, and it's had its leadership buff reduced slightly. That's super duper cool. So it still provides immune to psych for your peasants. It still provides a small leadership buff, but now it also gives melee attack. So that's going to synergize very, very nicely with men-at-arms and foot squires. I really like that change. That's a great change. And make the Grail Relic a little more reliable. Fix some crashes, fix some soft locks, fix the soft lock with Codil's Unchained Battle, fix some weird app stuff. Very cool, very cool, very cool. Gameplay. We've made the load game panel a lot faster. It only now loads the first 25 games, and then there's a button that opens it up for later. That's awesome. Great change, great change. Makes it speed up a little bit. AI rules and logic. We've made further improvement to AI artillery units and walled settlement battles to prevent them from wasting ammo to unnecessary gate building targets. The AI will now take extra care when assaulting a wall by no longer attempting to make breaches when there's no need for one, such as when a gate is already being targeted by a friendly unit, or if there's already a nearby available entry point. They will also no longer target gates when inside of a settlement, nor will they target gates where the angle of fire is too tricky, making them prioritize shots with greater accuracy. Interesting. I can't imagine how much of a bitch that was to program, but very curious to see what that's going to look like. Definitely going to be playing a new campaign today. Absolutely going to be playing some new campaign stuff. In addition, we've made improvements to AI unit groups to instructed to guard vulnerable units when attacking settlements. Units will not remain idle in place while taking fire from fort towers. Oh, that's an exploit I really enjoyed taking advantage of. Units will opt out of guarding other units when they are idle too long, instead pursuing other tactics such as assaulting gates. Okay, so it sounds like a lot of CJI updates. Made additional improvements to distance checks between breach points and settlement walls to account for any hard collisions between points. Okay. We've also rolled back changes made to improve the attacking AI's ability to acquire capture points in settlement battles, as it was adversely affecting their defensive behavior. Instead, we've implemented a new solution to improve the attacking AI's ability to focus on unowned capture points where said attacking AI has units nearby. Interesting. Okay. Okay. I'm curious to see what that's going to look like. Furthermore, we fixed an issue where defending AI units in settlement battles would continuously sally out to attack targets while units with the stock ability were close by. This locked AI units into a cycle of sallying out, retreating. Now, when a hidden unit with stock is discovered near a target, the AI will refrain from continuing to sally out and instead engage. Okay, I have heard of this exploit, so it's good they fixed that. Tooltip changes and updates. Okay, I think this is all just like little things, like, oh, these techs now properly use these units. Okay, I'm just looking for anything that jumps out at me. Yeah, I think all this is just like, when you mouse over this tech or this army ability, it will now properly show all the units that should be listed, and they also should be affected by these. Okay, cool. The mass tooltip. We discovered an issue with the numbers displayed by this tooltip, which we have fixed. Previously, he was adding up the mass of all the associated entities within a single model, displaying as one giant number. So, for example, a chariot could add the mass of each horse, each rider, the engine, everything attached to it. This was not correct. Okay, so cool. That's a good fix. Good fix. Other mass-related changes. We also taken the liberty to update some older mass values to bring cavalry units up to scratch. We got some good feedback when we increased the mass of wild riders in the last patch, so we made a few more changes to cavalry mass that will hopefully push us nearer to that sweet spot where charges feel impactful but can still be countered in the right circumstances. I'm always interested to see this kind of thing, because, like, granted, as someone who only has, like, I don't have a ton of experience with the Total War franchise. Like, I played Shogun 2 to death, but very little outside of that. So I don't really have, like, that's one thing I always hear kind of complained of, or like criticized, for Warhammer compared to the other Total War games, is that, like, the cavalry charges apparently don't feel as good, which I mean, to me, I think they feel awesome. But I'm really curious if this is going to address those issues. If you have any strong opinions, let us know. Other notable changes. Players must take a lord character as their lord in a game of domination or survival. No more Skaven slave lords. Okay, that's good. I'm very excited for that, especially when it comes to tournaments. I definitely was not a fan of the exploit where people would just bring, like, a super duper cheap unit, and then at the start of the battle, they would immediately unsummon them. I thought that was like a really dumb cheese. Really feels like it should have been banned as a tactic, but I'm glad that it has been removed so people can no longer do that. Because, like, your army needs to be led by a general. That's just Warhammer. Like, if your army does not have a character leading it, it's not an army. It's a garrison that got lost. Characters mounted on chariots can once again fire magic missile spells. Good. Units should be a bit more reliable when attempting to cast magic missiles from walls, hopefully. General, all rights, including those for all the Warhammer 2 factions, are once again locked until the requirements have been met. Fair. Army abilities, time changes. Oh, this is for the survival mode, which I finished. I got my achievement for getting platinum on every single map. It was a bitch, I will say. Getting that platinum trophy is genuinely hard on, like, the last 3 of them. The Lizardmen one. Oh, the Lizardmen one. That was torture. The Lizardmen one was like, oh god, the fucking pterodons, dude. I'm still having nightmares. Fixed various instances of lords getting stuck when using magic missiles. Good. That was actually happening to me quite a bit, so hopefully that has been fixed. Burning Wrath has its accuracy tightened up. Very cool. Flames of Asgore. The penetration value of the projectiles has been increased, so the spawn projectiles no longer immediately explode and over damage very large units. I'm looking at you, Durthu. Okay, that's really good, because Flames of Osgore was definitely overperforming when it came to bombing single entities, because, like, the explosion, like, it would just come up underneath them. It has a pretty fast cast time, so it's very hard to dodge, and it would just obliterate single entities. So it's good. Now it's going to pierce through the single entity and fly, you know, a little further outwards and explode on the ground. So it's still going to be a powerful spell. It's just not going to, like, one-shot lords and heroes and monsters anymore. Everyone has their price. We assessed this ability and came to the conclusion that its previous implementation wasn't quite hitting the mark, so we've made it a bit easier to use and understand. So this is the Grease's Goldtooth ability. Everyone has their price. Oh, it's an AoE debuff. Okay, that's kind of cool. It now lasts for 35 seconds. Has a longer recharge, though, to compensate, and it has a 35-meter radius. Okay, so Greasus now has a big AoE debuff to leadership and melee attack he can use. That's pretty decent. I still don't think that's going to fix Greasus. I still want Greasus to be bigger. I don't care if it makes him easier to kill. I don't care. It's a matter of principle. He needs to be the largest ogre, and right now he's small. It's unacceptable. Lord of Torment. The intensity conditions have been lowered. Only 5 routing units are now required to have 100% intensity. That makes sense, especially because this ability was debuffed a bit, so that makes it a bit more reliable to use. We already talked about the Blessing of the Lady. Heroic Fortitude for Gotrek has been fixed. Let's see, it lasts for 2 seconds now and actually heals. So instead of healing 0% health, it now heals 12% of your health. Hooray! That's good. The Pelt of Wulfag. The Pelt has been fixed, so any fleeing enemy unit within the ability's 55-meter radius is now affected by its debuff. Previously, the ability was only able to target a single enemy unit. This was a bug. Oh, that's good. This is the Chaos Dwarf Regiment of Renown Hobgoblin riders. So that's good. That's good. The Wasting Sickness now has a 55-meter radius and has significantly less damage buffs. So this is, I think, one of the Nurgle regiments of renown. Might be the Barons of the Bog. So it has a much bigger AoE now, but significantly less penalty on the damage. Lance Formation. With the Bretonnian Cavalry getting a bit of a stat rework, the Lance Formation has been nerfed slightly to compensate for these new numbers. Fair. Still looks pretty solid. Icon of Devotion. The leadership buff is now only 8, but it gives 5 melee attack. Very cool. Item abilities. The Venom Staff now only takes 1 second to wind up. Thank you. Super dumb that ability took 5 seconds. 5-second wind up. What the hell were they thinking? Glad that's been fixed. Braid of Borderlow now gives more bonus versus large. Neat. Helm of Yivris has been fixed because that's weird. All right. Vial of Hashut. We reduced the weakness to fire effect on this ability as it's stacked a bit too well. Bringing this value down means that the Chaos Dwarfs can now get a maximum debuff of 100% if they combine everything. Okay, that's really cool. But, okay, so it only gives minus 20% fire weakness instead of 60. However, it doesn't nuke armor by another minus 20 and also lasts for 5 more seconds. Very cool, very cool. Chalice of Blood and Darkness now activates based on map-wide enemy spell activations for half of the previous heal amount. This makes it easier to use, though it has a 90-second cooldown between activations. Okay. The Stone Mantle on Astrogoth now activates when the unit has 75% or less health remaining, and now scales the effect across 4,000 hit points rather than 3,000, meaning that the ability is a bit slower to scale up, and it also reduces his speed more than it does currently. That's good. Astrogoth was definitely overperforming. Beastmen, just some mass changes. Cool, and Centaurs got kicked off of a tech. So Razor Gores are now notably heavier, as are Manticores. Very nice. Bretonnia, the king, now has is a full-on Grail Knight. He has magical attacks as well as all of his other Grail Knight buffs. Biaki and the Hippogriff mounts now have a sizable HP buff in order to give them a bit more staying power. Very, very cool. Wow, 1,000 more health? Damn! Alright. Not bad. Also, more splash attack knockback. Very cool. Also, Biaki just, wow, look at that. Look at those stat buffs for Biaki. 4 more melee attack, 5 more melee defense, 10 more base damage, 20 more armor piercing damage, and heavier mass as well. Very nice. Albrecht de Bordelot on Tempete. I'm still waiting, CA, still waiting for Albrecht to get a dedicated voice actor. You know what? I'm willing to make the sacrifice. I will come into the office myself in order to give Albrecht a unique voice if I must. I can go in and do a terrible French accent. It'll be perfect. See some stat changes. He actually got nerfed in a few very small ways, but overall pretty solid buffs. Lord and the Hippogriff, a lot more health, better stat line, very good. Henry Le Massif, same thing. Unicorns are almost twice as heavy now. Very cool. So unicorns are a lot heavier. Silveron is over twice as heavy. We put some meat on that unicorn. That's really good, especially because unicorns are actually supposed to be monstrous beasts, not regular beasts. So they're actually supposed to be a little bigger than regular horses, if I recall correctly. Let's see. Deceleration has been improved, if I understand that stat correctly. The Green Knight is over twice as heavy now and is also faster at accelerating and decelerating. Barded Warhorse now is just flat out faster. It has a higher run speed than it used to. Also, like, just, yeah, better overall. We see all the different peasant units have somewhere between -5, -6 leadership. The Grail Relique now has -10 leadership, but also hits less people with its splash attacks, so it's much more of a pure support piece. Not that it wasn't before, but you know what I mean. The Holy Wardens of La Massental Abbey have immunity to contact effects. Very cool, very cool. Mounted Yeoman. So bronze missile block chance has gone from 30% to 35. Cool. Very cool. We see Impetuous is on Knights Errant. Also just faster. All the Knights are so much faster. They all have higher run speed, higher acceleration, higher deceleration. So Bretonnian Knights are not only heavier, they're just faster. Pegasus Knights have more bonus versus large. Very cool. Grail Knights. More expensive, less guys, but they have almost 1,000 more health despite having less guys. 30 more armor. Damn. So they have 120 armor now. They lost a little bit of base damage, but gained a shit ton of armor piercing. They doubled their AP. That is fantastic. They also have splash attack now. Nice. So they can hit 2 people per swing instead of 1, and they're significantly faster and start charging from further away. Very cool. Grail Guardians, same thing. Significantly less. They've got even more health. They actually deal more base damage and a shit ton more armor piercing damage. And they hit 3 guys per model. Wow. Okay, so these are very elite fighters now. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Royal Hippogriff Knights now have perfect figure, magical attacks. They're a little more expensive, but there's 12 of them in a unit. They have a little more health, and their collision boxes have been optimized. Yeah, looks absolutely fantastic. I'm very excited to play Bretonnia and give him a shot. Chaos Dwarves. Chaos Dwarves have received a lot of attention this past. Astrogoth is a bit too overtuned at launch, has been adjusted along with Bull Centaur Rendors and the Nap the Bomb wielding Infernal Iron-Sworn units. They're both very cost effective. Could I have received a nice buff to make them a bit less fragile, but perhaps the biggest change is that the Iron Demon is now able to move and shoot properly. This should hopefully eliminate some of the frustrations that players are encountering. The Skullcracker is now a bit of a beast in melee. Very good. With better combat stats and improved ability to knock back enemies at lower speeds. That's good. Because currently, like, why would you have ever taken a Skullcracker? It literally didn't do anything other than, like, it could knock down walls. Whoop-de-doo. So that's good that it's actually a melee thing now. Artillery units has also been given a pass, with the Magma Cannon getting a bit of a range nerf, the Death Shrieker getting a higher degree of accuracy, and the Dreadquake Mortar getting more range. Very cool. Very cool. Fix some bug issues. Bug issues. Granite Guard now have better stats. Very cool. Recruitment time for trains is now to only 2 turns instead of 3. Good change. Good change. Chaos Dwarf ROR units no longer have armament upkeep. Oh, that's really, really nice. Okay, so you no longer have to pay for them in the Hellforge. I like that very much. Astrogoth Iron Hand is more expensive, has 400 less health, a lower charge bonus. He's not as fast. He's significantly less heavy, and he's also slower at turning. Yeah, those are some pretty serious nerfs. Though I like they didn't really mess with his like overall stat line. It was mostly messing with other things. Like his melee attack, melee defense, all that stuff has kind of remained the same. They just made him not quite as efficient when it comes to like maneuvering around. Cinder Breath is super duper fat at 4,400 mass. It's also more expensive. Zatan the Black is significantly lighter. Lamasu is notably heavier. Sorcerer Prophet is quite a bit lighter. Okay, so it looks like the Great Taurus is going to be not nearly as heavy as it used to be. The Bale Taurus looks like the Bale Taurus is still very heavy. And the Lamasu are more heavy, which is good. That'll make them significantly better at retreating from combat. But the Great Taurus got pretty heavily nerfed as far as mass goes. Overseers are cheaper. All the mass changes. Gorda's Backstabber's more expensive now, base cost, which is good. He's probably a little too efficient for his cost. We already talked about that. Chaos Dwarf Blunderbusses no longer have charge defense versus large. That makes a lot of sense. They should be a ranged unit that if they get like caught in a cavalry charge should be punished for that. They shouldn't be able to just face tank it and be like, okay, and then just, beat the snot out of whoever charged them. Because they should be busy shooting guns, not, being melee fighters. So I think that's good removing that. Granite Guard, we talked about their buffs. The Blazing Beards of Basarak. Okay, wow. So their grenades are significantly less damaging. They lost all their armor piercing as well. They deal significantly more base damage with the explosion, but the actual projectiles now deal only 1 point of damage instead of 12 per projectile, and the armor piercing explosion is also a little weaker. Hobgoblin Sneaky Gits are a little not quite as good at damaging with their throwing daggers. Infernal Ironsworn are more expensive, cost more, and same thing. The explosions now deal a lot more, significantly more base damage, but only with the explosion. The actual grenades themselves now deal barely any damage, and the AP has been reduced. I think overall that's a good change, because those grenades were fucking insane. Like, they would delete literally anything in the game. Bull Centaur Renders, a fair bit more expensive. Melee attack's been reduced a little bit. Missile block chance is down to 35%, which I think it makes total sense. It was super weird that they had silver shields on top of their missile resistance. They were like practically immune to shooting. Even with a 20% loss, like that's still not that much. They're still going to be pretty resistant. They're not as efficient at turning anymore, and their collision boxes are now bigger, so it's easier for them to be hit. Dual axes, same thing, more expensive, less melee attack. And same thing for the great weapons. Easier to hit. So for all of them, they're easier to hit. They have less melee attack, and they cannot turn as efficiently, and they're more expensive. All good changes, I think. Okay, Oglikhan's Wolf Boys actually have a reload skill value now. Great Taurus, we already talked about. Lamasu, yep. Bale Taurus, still pretty big fat boy. The Kadai Destroyer now has 10 more base morale, 120 armor. Thank you. 90 armor on an elemental creature literally made out of metal and fire did not make any fucking sense. So 120 armor, that is significantly better. Burning Bright is now active until only 25% health remains rather than 50%. That's also very, very good. So now all the Kadai are unbreakable until they're below 25%, the last quarter of their HP rather than 50%. That's really solid because 50% felt way too high. And they would start crumbling. Like, if you got knocked down to 50%, you were probably eating a fair amount of damage. And they would legitimately start crumbling. So I'm glad that A, they have a flat morale buff, B, they have more armor to make them more tanky, and C, that they're unbreakable until they really get down to the last little bit of their health. I think that makes them feel far more reliable, but we'll see. Kadai Fireborn going up to 80 armor. Very nice, very nice. Magma Cannon. It's more expensive. Its morale is not as high. Its melee attack and damage are significantly higher. But its armor piercing damage is much less, and it lost its bonus versus infantry. That makes sense. It really should not be that effectively defending itself, considering that it's technically just like a couple of Chaos Dwarfs on a little train carriage that like spit steam at people. It can deal some damage to at least kind of hold people off, or like maybe chase off a very wounded unit that's dragged their way to it, but it should not be able to like easily defeat, moderately armored infantry units or like mid-tier cavalry units, which it kind of felt like it could. The range has been cut down by 70. Still a pretty long range missile at 380. Like, that's nothing to sneeze at. Calibration area is now wider, so it's not quite as accurate as it used to be, which I think is reasonable. And the shockwave radius is not quite as large. But it is a lot heavier. So, good. Dash Reeker rocket, more morale, better melee attack, better ammunition, same damage we talked about earlier. It now is almost twice as fast on those missiles. So it now has a velocity of 150 instead of 90. So it's significantly faster projectiles. Also seems like it has a much better calibration distance. So it's able to like aim more efficiently at a longer range. It also has a significantly smaller area, which means that it's going to be significantly more accurate, if I understand this correctly. And then the shrapnel velocity is a little smaller on the missile that explodes out. So this should make it quite a bit more accurate and a lot faster, which also in turn will make it more accurate. Dreadquake mortar, a little cheaper overall. Its morale has been cut down big time. Went from 100 morale to 55. Why the hell did that thing have 100 morale? Like, I know they've got an ogre crew, but like, good lord. Damage is now consistent with the others. And so it has switched range with the lava cannon, magma cannon. So it now has 450 instead of 380 and 380 on the magma cannon. But its calibration area is now smaller, so it's going to be more accurate. Cool. Iron Demons can now move and shoot simultaneously. Thank you, God. Wow. Really solid stat buffs. Plus 9 melee attack, 5 melee defense, 20 charge bonus, 120 armor, not bad, 90 base damage, 210 armor piercing base damage, another 2 bonus versus infantry, and they can hit 2 additional entities per splash attack. Wow, that is actually really solid. They have higher acceleration, so they're faster when they are like getting going. Though the projectiles spread on their shooting attacks a little higher, so they're not quite as accurate with their shooting attack. But that is a massive set of buffs to its combat potential. These things are going to be hitting so much harder. Damn, like they're going to, take a lot more damage too. Whew, okay. Iron Demon with Dreadquake mortars actually runs slower. Okay, that makes sense because they're like dragging stuff around, but they're also cheaper. Demon's Tongue can now move and shoot simultaneously. Excellent. Has a significantly better stat line. Awesome. Absolutely awesome. Dreadquake mortar, same thing. It's a little slower. The Skullcracker. The Skullcracker now is much better at knocking back entities. Awesome. 55 melee attack, 30 melee defense, 75 charge bonus. Comparing this against the Iron Demon. So it has... Oh yeah, it has 10 more melee attack. That is significant. So it has 10 more melee attack. Oh, it has 5 more melee defense as well. It also deals significantly more damage in melee. It has 30 more base damage, 70 more armor piercing damage, same melee bonus versus infantry, and same splash attacks. But that is fantastic. And it also has better knockback. That is so good. Thank you. Like the Skullcracker, the whole point is that it's supposed to get into melee and chop people up. So that's excellent. Excellent. Cool. Demon Smiths. Okay, they fixed some bugs. Okay, cool. Dark Elves. We didn't quite get the Dark Elf mount cost right last time around, so we take another look and rebalance them. As a result, Rakarth and Lokir are now a bit cheaper. Other than that, Dark Steed mounts are heavier, along with Cold Ones and Manticores, while Dark Steed Cavalry have received an acceleration boost. Very cool. Dark Elves now have the ability to consume their slaves in order to rush construction. Hooray! That's super funny. That's really funny. The Dark Elves saw what the Chaos Dwarfs doing and were like, hey, can we get some of that? Can we copy y'all's notes? Can we steal your idea? Oh, that's super funny. High control now reduces slave consumption within a province. This recreates the Chaos Dwarf labor relationship where if you maintain control, you lose significantly less labor per turn, but while maintaining slaves is a global resource for the Dark Elves. Very, very, very cool. So now okay, I actually like that a lot, because that is going to make it excellent as far as really incentivizing Dark Elf players to value high control. Especially because Dark Elves traditionally don't tend to value high control because if you have a lot of rebellions, like that's easy farming, especially for slaves. So the fact that you're like, well, no, if I have high control, then my slaves are like much more, they last a lot longer, actually has like a decent incentive for that, which is cool. Post-battle slave rewards have been rebalanced to offer significantly more base rewards, but slightly less from the post-battle options. Overall, this should be a net increase. Okay, I see. So they're making it where you get more slaves from just a battle without having to just spam that option, so you actually think about the other one. Slave rewards from raiding have been improved. Very cool, very cool. Remove the construction speed buffs from maintaining large amounts of slaves. This is covered by rush construction. Cool. Hey, more uses for slaves. That's awesome. Adjusted the slave quota edict to reduce the cost of rush construction, slightly reducing the oh, that's really cool. So the slave quota edict now reduces the cost of rush construction and gives you more growth. It just doesn't give you as much growth. I like that. That's very good. Very good. Buildings. Slaves are now consumed and the bonus effects are applied on a per building basis if they can be afforded, rather than all buildings simultaneously turning on off if you have over 100 slaves. Interesting. Okay, that's it. So it just makes them more effective. All buildings which have a bonus slave effect now also consume slaves. Makes sense. Slave consumption per building has been lowered. That's fair. Good. Get more use out of them. All slave consumption buildings now provide lower base benefits, but greater bonus effects if the requirements are met. Okay, I like that. I like that very much. Ports no longer consume slaves for bonus income. They now generate slaves per turn. Ah, very nice. Okay, and that actually makes Black Arcs significantly better investments, because if you're just running around collecting ports, then you're generating a massive amount of slaves. That's very, very nice. We also adjusted / moved the effects on a few infrastructure buildings. Slave income is now on the roads building, removed growth from the roads building. Dictates cost is now on the slave pins building for reduced dictates. Slave pins now reduces slave consumption, and slight replenishment buff for the growth building. Very, very nice. Current car landmark now provides global reduction slave consumption. I love it. Dictates have been reduced to 2, 3, 400 and adjusted the effects to match the new cost. Very nice. Reduce the cooldown of the treasury dictate to 1 turn. Wow, so you can spam the shit out of the money dictate if you've got the slaves for it. Slightly buffed assassin slave generation to 5, 10, 15 from 3, 6, 10. Very nice. Fixed an issue with the Death Knight button. Fixed an issue where Karth was releasing his slaves. Gate to the Underworld Sea landmark building has been restored to its place in Hag Grafe. Vandalized Court of the Everqueen now spreads Slaanesh corruption when playing against Morathi. Like it. Reduce the cooldown to maximum turns before a mission is guaranteed for the Whispers of Zarkan. They spelled it wrong. Just improve the frequency. Loyalty to Confederate or requested armies is now not 0. Nice. So they don't immediately backstab you. Dark Steeds are quite a bit faster and heavier. Very nice. All the cold ones are a lot heavier. Malekith is also a lot more expensive. Oh wait, no, this is just cost. Okay, so Malekith is just more expensive. Hellebron is less expensive. Hellebron's steed is heavier and faster. The Manticore is significantly heavier, but does not have reduced amount how many entities he can hit. Hellebron's just cheaper overall, looks like. Lokir Felhardt's cheaper. Maelstrom has 10 more armor. Rakarth is now a fair bit cheaper on all forms. Brachus also has better melee defense and armor. Let's see here. The Dreadlord with sword and crossbow now has less melee attack but more armor on his dragon. Is also a fair bit more expensive, as is the Dark Pegasus mount. Dreadlord sword and shield on Pegasus and Black Dragon now has cost more, less melee attack. Wow, a lot less melee attack. -6 is actually pretty decent. -2 melee defense but +10 armor, so a bit more durable against shooting and stuff. Mass going up on all Manticores and horses. Pegasus mounts are all getting more expensive. Dragons are all getting more expensive, but they also have 10 more armor. All Darksteeds are also faster. Cool. Awesome. Love it. Thoric. Thoric's unique follower ancillary Craggy can now be re-equipped. That's it. That's all you get, dwarfs. That's all you get. For greenskins, wyverns have gotten heavier and the snotling pump wagons have lost some charge bonus, the latter of which was contributing to some balancing issues. Also, for dwarfs, CA, please make the Throne of Power fucking do something. It's supposed to be the most powerful legendary item in the entirety of the Karazhan Corps, and right now it does nothing. Let Thoric's mount do something. It should be giving him like a ward save or an ability or something. Even if you have to add it as a skill in his skill tree for like the Rune of Azamar Awakened or whatever. Make that bitch do something. Let's see. The Tomb of Gidgai Khan now gives correct values when damaged. Grom's ingredients from killing units now correctly reward ingredients. Wyverns are a lot heavier. 700 additional mass for all wyverns. The Great Cave Squig is heavier. Pump wagons have had notable reductions to their charge bonus, -5 for most versions, but -15 for the Flappas, to make them more, to make up for the fact that they have a lot more entities than they used to. Feral wyverns are also heavier. Cool. High elves, as well as benefiting from a load of mass changes to griffins, lions, and horses, all high elf cavalry except for Illyrian reavers now run at 84 speed, which is faster than Empire cavalry, which should hopefully help their matchups a bit. Their horses are some of the best in the world, of course. I really like that. That's super cool. Chaos Dwarfs now provide appropriate bonuses when Eltharion captures them. Very awesome. Tor Elier's Royal Illyrian Stable Landmark building has been brought down from tier 5 to tier 3 and is half the cost. Very good. Very good. Wow. Okay, so Griffins are almost... Oh, well, Stormwing is super fat. So Stormwing almost went up 1,000 mass. Teclis on his damn bullshit Phoenix has gone up by 800. Griffins overall, notably heavier. Horses are heavier. Tyrion's horse Malander is even faster. All horses for the High Elves are now significantly faster, which is great. High Elves should have the fastest Heavy Cavalry in the game, period. So I'm glad they're making that change. That's really good. We see that's reflected in the chariots as well. White Lion Chariot is now up to 2,000 mass, so a pretty notable increase there. Illyrian Reavers are even faster. Heralds of the Wind, faster acceleration, deceleration. Silver Helms are faster. Dragon Princes are faster. Chariots are faster. Very nice, very nice, very nice. War Lions are just a little bit heavier. The Chariot, though, is quite a bit heavier, as is the Arcane Phoenixes. Nice. I like it a lot. I like it a lot. Emmeric's dragons are now only visible to Emmeric's faction via skills and text rather than all high elves. That makes sense. Cool. Khorne. Cavalry juggernauts have lost a tiny bit of mass, though they shouldn't feel it much. Character juggernauts, on the other hand, have gone up. Yep. Character mounts on juggernauts are heavier. As is the Chaos Steed. However, Skull Crushers are a tiny 50. That's teeny tiny bit lighter. For Kislev, armored Kossars have received 10 additional entities. Ooh, very nice. To improve their frontline capabilities, as well as a bit more bonus versus infantry for the greatsword units. Character mounts and Griffin Legion horses are also heavier. Cool. Ulrika Magdova now has less ammo, less resistances. Okay, so granted, she was a little insane, so those are probably good changes. Her warhorse has significantly less ammo, but it's much faster and also heavier. Cool. All the other horses, same thing, faster, not quite as, faster and heavier. Bears are a little bit heavier. Armored Kossars have gone up by 10 entities. Very, very nice. So that results in almost 1,000 extra health, which gives them a lot more staying power. Zargard now have +4 bonus versus infantry. So capping out at 14. Very, very nice. And the Griffin Legion is a little bit heavier. Cool. Lizardman. For the Lizardman, Tehedawin and his red-crested brethren have gained a new trait. Immunity to contact effects! Yes! 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 Finally! I have been bitching about this forever. The millisecond they revealed that this thing was actually possible, that immunity to contact effects was a thing, I have been bugging them and bugging them and bugging them. Thank you, devs. Thank you. This is to represent their immunity to poison the tabletop and should create a nice new niche for Red Crested Skinkiness to occupy on the Lizardman roster. Among a few other changes, Cold One mounts and cavalry have also been boosted. Croak shall properly spawn as a bug fix. Capstone now gets destroyed when you build a new one. Fix some reinforcement issues on the battle. Cold One and Horned Ones are now 300 mass heavier. Tehenuin is immune to contact effects, as is the Red Crested Skink Chief, as is the Red Crested Skink Chief unit, or the Red Crested Skink unit. Thank you! Oh my god, thank you. I'm so happy. I am so happy. Razordons, Salamanders, and the regiments of renown now have more splash attacks, I think, in melee, so they're a little bit better at fighting enemy units. All the cavalry units are notably heavier, almost going up by 50% in mass. And then the solar engines now have better gravity factors on projectiles, so they are more accurate. And the Bjorn's Time Warp spell for the Spirit of Tepok RR is now bound. Okay. Norsca. The biggest notable Norsca change is that the Axeman on the back of the Ice Wolf Chariot now has some melee attack animations. What? He didn't have animations? Well, that's good, I guess. So the performance of the unit in melee should be quite a bit better. We've also corrected a blunder where we accidentally gave the Famir with dual weapons 15 bonus versus large instead of bonus versus infantry. Whoops. All right, so they have bonus versus infantry again now. Kilgore Slane Maid's heavier. All the chariots are heavier. And all right, next up we've got Nurgle. It's a quiet update for Nurgle. The metadata for Nurglings has been shifted around a bit to make their attacks connect more often and reliably do damage, but it's a small change. Fear not though, as Nurgle will get some serious love in Thrones of Decay. Awesome. Ogre Kingdoms. Ogre spellcasters are now immune to contact effects! Yay! Okay, they did all of them. I was literally about to say, now we just need it for the Ogre spellcasters, but they already did it. Excellent. Other than that, Nobblar Trappers have received a tiny bit of bonus versus infantry on their melee weapons. Outside of these stat changes, Greases, everyone has their prices been reworked. So Scrags, Slaughtermasters, and Butchers now have immune to contact effects. Excellent. Excellent, excellent, excellent. And Nobblar Trappers have 5 bonus versus infantry. Very cool. Skaven fixed a weird bug problem. Bonebreaker Rat Ogres are now heavier. Packmaster abilities got fixed a little bit, and they fixed some skill problems. Slaanesh. Nakari has received some love in this update, with special attention being placed on their attack metadata. We discovered that it was a bit erratic, which resulted in some difficulty when targeting for attacks. In other news, Marauders are now slightly cheaper again. I guess they overcorrected a little bit, apparently. Nakari made his attacks more reliable. Devoted Marauders of all kinds are 50 gold cheaper. Neat. The Empire. The Council of Electric Technology is now unlocked by building a minor settlement town building. Cool. Horses are heavier. Griffins are heavier. Pegasi are heavier. Cool. Look at all these. Demigriffs are heavier. Look at all the mass changes. Look at all the mass changes. Great swords, damage buffs, and plus 4 additional bonus versus infantry. Very nice. Ulrika Magdova, same thing we talked about earlier. Did some other fixed things. The heroic fortitude ability for Gotrek now works. Great. Thank you. Tomb Kings. The army cap can no longer be ignored via the recruitment of Saved Lords. Oh, you silly boys and your exploits. Skeletal horses are now slightly heavier. The Bone Giant is now significantly more accurate. And it looks like it has a bigger explosion on its bow as well. Zinch. Sarthorial the Everwatcher now has a unique trait and starts as an immortal. Oh, that's really exciting. Okay, so I guess I'm going to have to play a campaign and confederate him like as fast as possible. I don't even know what faction I'm not even sure what faction he starts with. I'm gonna have to figure that out. Let's see. Knights are heavier. Vampire Coast. Vampire Coast damned units benefit from the Bretonnia updates, gaining the Knight attribute. So if you happen to get some peasants, there's synergy there. That's super funny. Terrorgeists are heavier. Damned Knight Errants have Impetuous. Damned Knights of the Realm have higher missile block chance. Gallows Giant has an actual reload skill down instead of 0. That's good. I love that the Damned Knights have the Knight passive. You're like, oh, I should get some allied peasant units. That way I can actually use that ability. Vampire counts. The dead rise again. The underlying chance of units returning as part of the dead rise again has been tweaked, resulting in approximately 1/3 fewer units returning post-battle. That's really, really good, because the dead rise again was way too fucking strong. It was way too fucking strong, because fighting against Gorst with Kugoth it's specifically a nightmare because of that. even if you beat him in battle, which is already hard enough, his entire fucking army is totally fine and just walks away. So I'm glad they're debuffing this a bit. Base chance from all units has been cut in half from 20 to 10%. Chance for all units proportional to the recruitment cost has been halved. The additional chance for lords and heroes has been cut in half from 10 to 5%. Necromancers now appear in garrisons when forbidden libraries have been built. Nice. I really want a garrison patch. I really would like 4.1, dude. Let 4.1 be a freaking garrison patch that gives us good garrisons, because right now they're just terrible. Let's see. All the Barded Nightmares and Hellseeds and Terrorgeist are heavier. Vampire Lord of Shadows has less morale. Oh, Black Knights have Strider! Hooray! Black Knights have Strider! So they have that ability in tabletop. That's another thing I was bitching about, so I'm really glad that got fixed. Unfortunately, they seem to have accidentally missed the White King on Skeletal Steed. He's also supposed to have that, because the Skeletal Steed is what gives Strider. So looks like they may have accidentally missed the character, but hey, that's great. That's awesome. Another tabletop rule has been reinstated. Blood Knights are heavier. Terrorgeist is heavier. Thrall Master have a lowered Raised Dead chance, and newly Raised Dead tech now has only a 5% buff instead of a 15% buff. Good. Warriors of Chaos. Let's see. Demon Whisperer gives Slaanesh instead of Undivided Corruption. Chariots, Juggernauts, and Manacores are all heavier. Manacores aren't quite as efficient at chewing through units. Chaos Lord of Khorne, Exalted Hero of Khorne on Gorby's Chariots have much better collision attacks, but lower splash. Chariots are heavier. Chaos Knights are heavier. Marauders of Slaanesh are cheaper. And Chaos Pharaoh Manticores are heavier. Wood Elves. Aside from some mass update for the Wood Elves, we've also updated War Dancers and Blade Singers. They now benefit from access to 2 different dances instead of a single dance. These dances are mutually exclusive, so activating a dance will disable any other active dances. Oh, that's really, really cool. So are they like Festus then? Like Festus, where you can have one ability active at a time, and if you select the other one, like they switch, but you always have one active? That would be really, really cool. Great Stags are heavier. Unicorns are heavier. Regular War Dancers have the now have the Woven Mist dance. Azrai Spears have the Storm of Blades dance, and the Blade Singers have the Shadows Coil dance. Very cool. Very excited to see how that changes up War Dancers. Hawks and Hawk Riders are heavier. Cool. Campaign. Fix some issues. Diplomacy. Fix some issues. Battles. Endless survival battles no longer limit the enemy army spawn to 20 in co-op. Oh, that's good. Oh wow, that would have made them like hilariously easy. So I'm glad they fixed that. So now you can actually fight big legions. Let's see. Fixed a lot of different bugs. Bugs. Fixed some clipping issues, some stumps, some quest issues, sliding weapons, skinning issues. Swords are now appearing. Audio bugs. Fix some bugs. Reverb heavy stuff. Animations. Casting audio animations. Grail Knight's flaming sounds. Werekin campaign VO. Ship animation or noises. UI stuff. Added a setting for the UI cursor size. Okay. Graphics for cursors have been improved. Bretonnian icons have received visual reworks. DLC banners are now nicer looking. Fix some typos. Cool. Looking forward. There you have it. We hope you're happy with the changes we've made as we continue to absorb all your feedback and aim for the best balance possible. Now that we're done, why not jump straight into the game and check out the Bretonnia update, dish out the SmackDown as a new legendary hero, or fight against the will of Hashut to prevent Chaos Dwarf stuff. We'll see you in just this summer for... So judging by how warm it was last night, we had to kick the covers off. That's not far away for Shadows of Change. So yeah, that's it. Very, very exciting. This is an excellent patch. I love the new regiments. I love the new regiments of renown. Love the new regiments of renown. Love a lot of the changes. I'm so excited to play with Tehinuin now that he has immune to contact effects. He is now his proper tabletop form. Very, very cool. Now the question is, should we get that on Clan Pestilence? Because like Clan Pestilence is not really affected by poison and stuff like that, right? Because I mean they're Clan Pestilence, but I don't know. You could say the argument that no, they are absolutely affected by all those things because they never had a rule protecting them from any of that stuff. Like the only thing they were good against was their own diseases, and even then they still took damage from their own diseases on a 6. So maybe they shouldn't. Skaven defense has never really been defense is not really their focus anyway. But anyway, yeah, very, very excited for this. I think there's a lot of great things. There's still a lot to do, but I think this is a very, very excellent first big step to take us towards Shadows of Change. So let me know what y'all think about the patch notes down below. Is there anything that you're super excited about? Is there anything you're disappointed was not taken care of? Do let me know. It's always good to hear about what kind of bugs or issues y'all are running into, because I can sometimes help pass along that information to the developers. But overall, assuming everything comes out as they have said it will, I think this looks like the game is going to be moving in a really, really nice direction. So by the time you see this, you should have time to watch this video and then like grab a small snack, I think, before before the stream starts for the legendary hero. So I hope you will all join me for the Skull Showcase stream over on www.twitch.tv/Loremaster of Sotek, so we can check out all the exciting new video games and see who the new hero is, and then we're gonna play some Total War. So I'm very excited. Thank you all. Hope you have a lovely day. Take care. Bye-bye.